You were in prison how long?
17 years total, in and out. All my cases really have been guns and drugs. The longest one was the cocaine. I sold 5 keys of cocaine.
That's not a little bit, bro. Majority of gang members are always searching for love. They're searching for a family. When you got out, what made you decide, all right, it's time for a change?
I knew this woman had stuck it out with me. She stuck it out for 2 years. And after she got out of the mental institute, she said, I don't think I could take this any much longer. I thought I could help you, but I can't. For the first time in my life, I got on my knees and I looked up and I asked God to help me. I hated him for everything that had happened to me as a kid. I hated him for all the friends that I had lost. I hated him for many things. My whole life, I had to pretend to be a tough guy, and I wasn't. I had fear my whole life. So when I got on my knees, I was able to find who I was supposed to be and not who the world convinced me I needed to be. And my life started changing from that day, bro.
Welcome to the VinnyRoc Podcast.
I took the blows and did it my way.
It's time. The VinnyRoc Podcast.
That's it. Welcome to the VinnyRoc Podcast, man. It's spring break. I'm at my in-laws' house. I'm working down at the Carrizo border area. You know where that's at, the Carrizo Del Rio area? So I'm working there this week. And I wanted to knock out a few podcasts while I can. And me and you kind of been going back and forth. And so it's kind of cool today. You hit me up and I thought, like, you know what? Let's get together on this and talk about it. So we've been connected for years now, and well, do me a favor if you don't mind, for the people who are listening and the people who are watching. Can you give a brief kind of a bio of who you are and your background?
My name is, my government name is Julio Cesar Almanza. My friends call me JC. I hail from the south side of Chicago, and just born and raised in Chicago. I was lucky enough to always get sent to Mexico every other year because I got in trouble. So I kind of grew up with both sides, my culture and the whole Chicago south side gangs and all that stuff. And I got into a lot of trouble, man. I got into a lot of trouble, made a lot of mistakes, and spent most of my adult life in prison.
Yeah.
17 years.
Well, on your microphone on your side's working because I don't have. It's not registering on my side. Are you good to go on there?
Yeah.
For some reason, it just shows it's not. But we're good. Screw it. So you were in prison how long?
17 years total, in and out.
17 years, bro. And what was the case that put you in there the longest?
All my cases really have been guns and drugs. The longest one was the cocaine. When I sold to, I was set up by one of my friends. He set me up, and I sold five keys of cocaine to someone, undercover cop.
Yeah, that's not a little bit, bro. What started you down that path of kind of guns and drugs and smuggling?
Honestly, my I have to go back to my childhood. As a child, it was pretty bad for me. I got molested and I got raped, but he used to do like torture on me. He used to lock me in this dark room for hours. He used to fill up the bathtub with water and drown me. It was like torture, and by the time I was 9, I was already on the streets, kind of trying to find myself. And my first violent act was a fight that I had on the street. Um, Really kind of pushed me to, I guess you could say, I found something that I was good at, and it was helping me with my pain. I was making somebody else feel the way that I was feeling most of my life, and it just started graduating, bro. I started becoming more violent. Um, I started getting known in the neighborhood for being trigger happy. Just always having a gun on me. I have six guns in my background. So, and it just escalated. And next thing you know, I end up, working for a family in Mexico. And there I got a little bit more training on firearms, longer firearms, just what to do with them. And I just really thought that I was living the dream. I thought that violence was just, I don't know, something that I was
Well,
doing.
yeah, man, it's not uncommon growing up in like LA. I was very fortunate to have uh, a good household, a mother and a father. You know what I'm saying? And my father was very strict about not allowing me to be on the streets. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of my friends who didn't have that, they found a family or they found the community in the streets in the gangs. So it's not uncommon for people to find love, or some kind of community or camaraderie on the street. And so it's no different from you escaping home. You know what I mean? You come out to the street and you get yourself involved in some shit. And this is going to be important for later on when we talk about what we want to talk about down the later in the conversation. And so some people who probably don't understand what's the attraction to gangs, for the most part, the majority of gang members are always in searching for love. You know what I mean? If you want to break it down, they're just searching for that family. And when they find it on the street, sometimes that family asks of you to do things to gain more clout. And then you start to chase that feeling of like, man, when I do some dirt, I do some bad shit, I get a lot of attention and it feels good. And so it kind of builds off that monster. It kind of feeds that monster, and you want to keep doing it. And so there's a rhyme and reason for it, and psychology wise, that most people probably wouldn't understand. People that don't, were never raised around it would almost disrespect it and say it's fucking stupid. Like, well, you can say that, but you don't understand it. And when you understand it, now I have empathy towards it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you
Yeah,
spent,
it was tough, man. It was tough. It was tough because it's really a dog eat dog world. So being a young man and being so broken, a lot of older gang members took advantage of me. And I did a lot of dirt, so it moved me up the ladder pretty fast. And next thing you know, I'm working for a family in Mexico, and now I'm 16 and I'm making like close to 60 grand a week. So it's like, it started feeding a different kind of monster too.
yeah.
Another sponsor of ours, Core Medical Group. Coming up, I'm going to be going to the the Core Medical Veterans Appreciation weekend. I'm just going to go there to support. I believe they bought some of my books, so we'll be signing those for anyone who's there. Oh, I'll probably be speaking on a new subject that I'm going to be talking about. By the way, Modern Gun School. You guys already know who they are. If you guys are looking to use your GI Bill, use your Voc Rehab on something that is productive for yourself. If you like to build guns, if you want to learn how to build guns, you could be an armor at the comfort of your own home. Incredible company. Several people that we've sent there through this program, through the VinnyRoc podcast, has given us just nothing but the praise of the organization and how they run it, but as well as the information that they receive. So if you guys go check out Modern Gun School on Instagram, they might have changed it, but MGS Trade School is what is on Instagram, but moderngunschool.com. Go ahead.
Yeah. That's its own addiction. You know what I'm saying? So like, how does someone at 16 make enough noise to get attention from a family in Mexico?
Well, I was always on the street. At the time, Valerie, one of the Flores twins' wives, was my best friend. We grew up together. So I think she always kind of felt bad for me because I was always homeless. I was always on the street. I was always doing whatever I had to do to survive. So she knew that a lot of the older guys were taking advantage of me. So like she stepped in and offered me a job, my first job to go down there. She was already plugged back then. So um I said yes right away. I tell people when they did the National Geographic show, they're like, you didn't ask her how much? I was like, no, I just went because like I knew that was like a stepping stone for me to move up to like a different career.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. And so when you were working for the family in Mexico, do you ever mention what family? Do you ever mention, or if you don't worry about it.
It's the Familia Michoacana, man. Just the old school cartel, you know. It was a
Yeah,
bunch of families back then. I always tell people I worked in the golden era where everybody was making money. Nobody, there was fights, yeah, people were getting killed, but it wasn't as bad as it is now. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, cocaine ruined everything.
And the competition as well. Now there's massive competition. There's many different cartels. They're all trying to gain territory, and so it kind of causes a lot of turmoil in between. The
Yeah.
whole cartel scene. But so you're 16 years old, and when did you get put into prison for the 17 years?
I had already did a couple like stays in Chicago here and there, small ones, you know, juvie here, guns, shootings, probation, blah, blah, blah. I got caught when I was just had turned 17. I got caught in, it's a retén in Mexico that's called, El Huizache. It's in San Luis Potosí. And, there was a military checkpoint there that day when I got caught. And, it wasn't. I wasn't supposed to. I wasn't supposed to cross at that hour.
So you
I was getting
did.
sloppy, man. Yeah, I was getting sloppy. My head was like this big. I thought I was like El Chapo, and yeah, that's what happens.
Damn. It's funny, man. I've wanted to have this conversation for a long time, and I just get busy. But when you text me today, it's a perfect timing for it because it's just been a lot on my mind in a very similar kind of conversation. So when you were in prison, at what point did you kind of? I know you found God. You have a very strong relationship with God. At what point during your prison did you did you find God? Did you convert, and did it kind of change the path?
I didn't find God until I got out, bro. Like I
Really?
Yeah. Everybody makes fun of me. They say that I should have found God inside, and I tell everybody I was too busy gangbanging inside. I was too busy like getting high. I was too busy politicking. I was too busy trying to stay alive. Like I was just I was on some different stuff, you know, and I'm I didn't get saved until 2 years ago. Me already being out 4 years.
Yeah. When you were in prison, it was same old kind of prison politics. Who'd you house up with?
When I was in the feds, if there was Land Kings on the yard with the Land Kings, because that's who I ran with. But if there wasn't no Land Kings, I sat with the Mexicans with the paisas.
Yeah, with the biceps.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I've always found myself with the paisas, but you know what? The homies, I got a lot of love from all the homies because I did a lot of time with a lot of the bigger sureños,
yeah.
and they always showed me, and they always had the open door for me to sit with them. So they always took care of me, man. They always looked out for me.
That's cool. Yeah, growing up in like the LA, a lot of my friends are associates and you know they were Sureños. You know what I mean? So
I know.
yeah,
Hey, but you have to admit that it's kind of cool that you know people like that because like you could have easily went that route. You get
yeah,
what I'm saying?
bro.
Like,
Yeah, dude. It wouldn't have been hard for me. I was very fortunate, like I said, to have a dad who was very tough. Who My father was an Echo Park kind of street kid back in the day. He was a Puerto Rican, so he didn't tell many he was Puerto Rican. He rolled with the Mexicans, and so
yeah,
at at one point he got in a fight with some 18th Street dudes, and he hit a dude with a pipe, got arrested, and he was go to prison, go to the military during Vietnam. So he joined the military, but while he was in basic training, the war ended, so he missed the war. Just very lucky in the timing of it all.
yeah,
When he got out of the Marines, he he still wanted to kind of have that lifestyle, right? When you grow up around it, my father was saying
yeah,
my grandfather was a very drunk, abusive man. So my dad just lives on the street. And like, why go home? When you go home, you get beat. So stay in the street. And
yep,
and so when he joined the military, I think if you kind of give him some structure, a little bit of a foundation, he still wanted that lifestyle because he just missed it so much. There's more to this story that I don't say publicly because it's kind of funny, but eventually my dad found his way into the fire department, and we grew up in the San Fernando Valley. And my brother eventually found himself in the scene a little bit, My brother was a well-known Sureño rapper, and yeah, Psycho Realm and Street Platoon.
Yes.
So my brother's Crow Soto from Psycho Realm and Street Platoon. So so that Sick Jackin and all those dudes, those are like brothers to me, bro. And
Oh, so
so
you
like it
grew
wasn't
up.
uncommon to be around it.
You had money. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
I mean,
were around it then.
I just didn't do. I played sports, bro. My dad made me play sports year round, and my brother was part of those in those areas, and I'd go to his concerts, bro, and I was like, fuck, dude, everyone's a fucking cholo here, and I'm not. I'd actually have to dress more like a cholo to fit in, bro, because I dressed like a baseball player and a football player, and so I was like, I had to wear even bigger clothes, dog, and like, if not, bro, then you'd get punked, and you know what I'm saying? So I'd rep all their gear, and it's like I'm wearing my brother's baggy ass shit just so I can fit into the fucking. So I didn't want to get called out, dog, because I felt like an outcast in that group. I'm not a gangbanger, you know what I'm saying? So, and my brother everyone dresses type of way, you know what I mean? The big old thing, blah blah blah.
Sure,
And
sure.
so it's funny because when I went to his concerts and stuff, or when I hung out with him, I had to kind of look the part as well, because he was always like, "Bro, you look wear this," you know. He kind of get me dressing right. But yeah, no, I played sports, bro, and I stayed out of it. But to know, like, it wasn't uncommon for if I was going to my buddy's house who lived more in like in the the Van Nuys kind of location. There was Van Nuys gang, there was Pacoima, all that area was where my friends lived. It wasn't uncommon for a drive-by. We did have a couple friends get killed, just buying drugs, blah blah blah, whatever the hell. So it wasn't like I was far from it, but I stayed away from it all. But I understand it so well because when you grow up around it, like I know what streets to go, what streets not to go. I know what colors to wear. I know what teams not to wear. You know what I mean? So I grew up knowing all of it. I just, I was more street smarts enough to stay out of it. And so that's why I understand the world of it very well. And I have friends that went in prison, I have friends that stayed out, got lucky, blah, 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 the whole thing. And so the conversation is always interesting to me because, I understand it, but I definitely was not a gangbanger by any means, dog. I stayed so far. I got a party like, bro, you ready? You want to get jumped in? I'm like, hell no, dog. I'm good, bro. I'm going to stay back here and drink my beers, dog. You're good. Nope.
That's what my wife says. She said that, when she was in Florida growing up, that she used to hang around with these Bloods and that they told her to come into the garage and they're like, yeah, we're going to beat you in now. And she's like, man, I don't want to be in no gang then if you're going to beat me in.
Yeah, like, no, I'm good, bro. I'm good. When we were younger, there was like little things, nothing real. You know what I'm saying? But like, as you got to high school, people were doing some real shit. I'm like, nah, I'm good, bro. I want nothing to do with it.
But Everest is a trading post, is a kind of community of outdoorsmen. If you're someone who likes to go to the outdoors, if you're someone who likes to hunt, camp, fish, even those who are in kind of the survival space, it's a trading post for all companies alike. It's somewhere that you can go to have a resource for all different locations and companies that sell anything in that range. So if you're an outdoorsman, if you're a hunter, camper, fisherman, just a hiker, it's a place where I think you'll enjoy. It kind of brings all those companies together in one platform. So go check out Everest.com. You can find them on Instagram at Everest Trading Post. GMR Gold, Bullion Box. Hey, I just got a new one in. What is it? I just brought it up here. Oh, Vince, you're so unorganized. Oh, right here. Check this out. Boom. This is a Mountain Dew bottle cap. Pretty sweet. Kind of exciting to see that. Put that here so it autofocuses on it. Boom. On top of that, this is kind of cool. I was really excited about opening this right now. I just got these in the mail right now. Sweethearts, some silver, faux that ass. Sorry, I don't know why I said that, but either way, I think the family will really enjoy this. This is something I'm going to give to either my daughter or my wife. I think it's pretty cool to see. It says my hero, bear hug, and soulmate. Really cool. This is some silver. Pretty sweet. And then I got the box. I haven't opened it yet, so you guys will be the first one to join me as I crack this bad boy open. Where's my knife? I lose control. Distinguished package. It comes with those 2 items right there. I'm working on something really cool with GMR Gold that I'm excited about. Silver. A few other little silver bars and gold bits. And one cool thing here, this is a Spider-Man silver. You tell me this ain't Spider-Man. This is Spider-Man to me. I think this is Spider-Man. Either way. Maybe I'm wrong, but pretty rad. I'll take some time to check this out later. No big deal. Put those aside. You guys can go get your Bullion box. It's a subscription-based model. You guys go check them out. Check out GMR Gold if you guys are just interested in buying, selling, or understanding the market, the value of gold and silver, precious metals. It's a trusted company. We really enjoy working with them. I've worked with them for many years, and so you guys can check them out.
You know, I was already very violent. In my freshman year, I think I had the most shootouts I ever had in my life. And you know, Chicago's always been really bad, really, really bad. I don't know why people think it's like a new thing, you know. Oh, you know, it's always, I think it's always been murder capital. They're just, we're tracking it. But people were getting killed left and right my freshman year. I mean, my first friend died in front of me in 6th grade. I watched my friend Phil get shot, killed, take his last breath. That changed me. And then it started to happen every year after that. So I got to see a lot of death, man, a lot.
You know, I worked in a prison when I got out of the military, and I already had sleeves. I didn't have my hand tattoos or anything, but I had the sleeves. And they would call me Street Marine in there because they were like, "You ain't supposed to be here." And so I would talk shit to them. And in the prison, I'd be able to have really good conversations with some of these dudes. Like in the prison I worked at, we had a lot of Nuestra Familia, right? We had a lot of them cats in there. And during the time, there was a lot of kidnappings, and they were doing a lot of, you know, holding ransoms and shit, you know. And so I get to talk to them, and it's just like always tripped out, but like how far they can get into that world, and then eventually it catches up to them, and it turns into a crazy thing. And, you know, I've always noticed that a lot of inmates, if they actually kind of found a way to use that energy for good, they could be extremely successful. You know, the ingenuity in prison alone, the intelligence of most, you know, how many books these, you know, inmates read, you know what I mean? It's when guys use that time to educate you, it becomes extremely impressive to see, you know, how intelligent a lot of these individuals can be.
The thing is that we come out intelligent because we've read all those books and studied, you know, the art of war and all these things. But the thing is that we come out with no emotional experience. So the first thing that breaks our heart, the first thing that makes us mad, the first, you know, no, the first everything kind of sets us on this whole like rebound where we run right back to where we feel safe. You know, and I think that's the biggest thing is like I really got to see the change in me this time because just how everything happened in my life. Me being away from Chicago, my neighborhood, being sober, finding God, like just so many things. And I realized I was like, wow, all the other times that I got out, I didn't have none of these things. So all this made a difference.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like I've been on this journey of personal growth, and the person I am today is nowhere near the dude I was 5 years ago, bro. 6 years ago, 7 years ago. I mean, I saw someone from when I used to work on the federal side of things, and they were like, "Damn, bro, you used to be a wild man." I was like, "I was, dog. I was like I was fucking crazy, dog. Like I was like." I used to drink all the time. I was a different dude, bro. And now it's like all of a sudden I'm writing books, homie. I'm speaking to crowds.
Well, like,
you know what I mean?
just for example, bro, when we first started talking is when you first said, I want to do a podcast. And after that, you just ran with it. I was like, man, this dude forgot about me. He's like, yeah, he's doing all these interviews. And I was like, he forgot that we were like mind dreaming that day and stuff like that. And I was like, man, he took out. And I was telling my wife the other day, I was like, you got really good at it. Like you like really like,
yeah, bro.
I watch it.
Thank you. I appreciate it, dog. You know, I'm a curious brain. And I have an experienced life, and so I love to dig into why people do what they do. Actually, so much so, I'm working on my master's in psychology, and because I'm like curious as fuck, but now I want to understand it, dog. And that's why, again, when we get to the conversation later, it's like it gets deep. It gets deeper than what you think. What we were talking about, you know what I'm saying? It's like we'll get down to that when you
Mid 45. I just have one. Boom. Mid 45. This is your kratom. This is your. It's a derivative of a plant medicine. It is a form of. It's another form of, let's see, it's a plant medicine that can help with different things. This one tends to focus more on the opiate receptors. I would caution anyone who's interested in looking into this, ask your medical provider first whether it is safe for you. This is something that is kind of new to the scene in my world, and so I want you guys to go look into this. But if you're someone who struggles with addiction, someone who struggles with kind of trying to fill that void with the opiates, this is something that I know for a fact has helped hundreds of people, thousands of people, if not. But as well as there are some side effects that you got to know and you should understand. There's some things about this that I'm still trying to understand. What we're trying to do is get the owner, one of the owners on here to really deep dive and to explain this. If not, I have a couple of content creators I've reached out to who are going to come explain the properties of Mid 45, but as well as kratom and how it can help, how it could be a benefit to you. Like I said, ask with a medical provider first. Look into it, research, check it out. This is one of our sponsors. You guys can check the link on my bio.
When you got out, what made you decide, all right, it's time for a change, dog? Like, I'm tired of the prison. Because I know a lot of dudes do that. A lot of dudes do 15 years and finally they're like, all right, fuck this. I'm ready to get out. I'm going to do it right. Like, were you at that phase already? You were like, fuck, bro, I'm done with prison.
I was at that phase every time I got out. Every time I got out, I was at that phase. I just didn't know how to change, and people laugh at me. And, when I share the story, I tell people, look, I didn't know how to change because all I knew was how to be a criminal. I had been a criminal my whole life. I didn't know nothing different.
You had a doctorate in that shit.
I had a PhD in it, bro. I never told the truth. I lied for like the simplest things. And it was crazy to me because like when I started changing, I started noticing how broken I was, and when I got out of prison this last time, I was like, all right, I'm tired. I don't want to go back no more. How do I stay out? And I was talking to my daughter, and my daughter was like, Dad, why don't you just Google it? And I was like, I'm going to Google it. And I Googled it. And it gave me a bunch of stuff, but it popped up, taking college courses, education. So I signed up for my first class, and that's where I met the cop that's my mentor now, the John Humphrey. That started telling me about God. He started talking to me about God. I guess he saw how hungry. It's funny because when I walked into the college, I told the lady, all right, so I just got the joint. I never went to school. I barely know how to read and write, but I have my GED and I need to start taking college courses. And she's like, okay. She's like, you should take this class right here. You would like this class. And I looked at the name and it said criminal justice. And I was like, who takes criminal justice? And she's like, cops, COs, people, social workers. And I was like, I don't want to sit next to a cop right now. So she's like, no. She's like, take this class, mijo. And for some reason, dog, I felt some motherly love when she told me that. So I took the class. And that class, changed my life. I met the teacher.
That's crazy, bro. And so that was the first path when you got out. That was the first thing you did, and it started to change things.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, bro. When did you meet your lady?
I met her in 2009. She walked into the gym where I was working at, and she.
It's funny because
Go ahead.
No, the thing to me is sometimes women can be like the emotional support person that we need.
I
You know what I'm saying? Like that's what my wife is for me, dog.
I can't sit here and lie and say that she hasn't been rough with me sometimes and had to call me like a bad name. like, 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 get it together. You're like, you're this tough gangster, all these things, but like, and I'm not gonna lie, it helped me, bro, because I knew she was doing it out of love, and I put her, I put her through hell, man. For 2 years, she dealt with my PTSD, and she got to see how severe my PTSD was. Because I know me and you have talked
Yeah.
about this, but I got diagnosed at the highest level, and I got diagnosed with schizophrenia. I got diagnosed with multiple personality disorder. I got diagnosed with schizophrenia. All these diagnoses was from the trauma of my childhood, and then everything that I experienced through my teenage years into incarceration in Mexico. Um, so she dealt with that for 2 years, bro, where she's seen, and you would have to actually talk to her to really know how she ended up in a mental institute. Let's just put it like that. Not because I was
Yeah.
beating her, not because, no, it's just I was losing my mind all the time. I was hearing noises, I was busting through the walls, I would completely transform into like a little kid. I mean, it was bad, bro. It was bad.
Was that because your symptoms or were uncontrolled, or do you take medication to control that now, or is it the path of wellness has fixed a lot of that?
What's fixed now, but back then they wanted to put me on medication, but I kept saying no because I kept saying there has to be a better way, because when I was in prison, I was on medication. I was a zombie. Like, I didn't
Yeah.
laugh, I didn't smile, like nothing. I was like dead inside. So,
Yeah, no, I get it.
the
My
gym started helping me a lot. So,
yeah,
you know,
it's crazy because like I feel like the first 2 years of my relationship with my wife, she saw the most post traumatic stress that I had as well, and like I felt like for the first 2 years it was scary for her to sleep next to me because like I'd have night terrors,
yeah, bro.
and the hardest thing for me was to see my wife have a face that was scared of me, dog. And it was a scared of me in a version that like it's not even me. I'm jumping out of bed and I'm like attacking some fucking
Yeah,
whatever, and I see her face screaming and scared, and I come out of it like, damn, that's the last thing I want my lady feeling.
yep.
You know what I mean? And but my when my wife came into my life, it actually gave me a purpose to try and become a better man.
That
And so
that's
that's
what
helped me a
drove me.
ton.
That's what drove me to my knees, bro. That's what drove me to my knees is that I knew this woman had stuck it out with me. All my relationships have only been 3 months long, so that should tell you something. She stuck it out for 2 years, and after she got out of the mental institute, she said, "I don't think I could take this any much longer, JC. I thought I could help you, but I can't." And my wife was already a believer. She was already, a devoted Christian woman, everything. So I got up that morning and I went downstairs and I got on my knees for the first time in my life. For the first time in my life, I got on my knees and I looked up and I asked God to help me. Um, I hated him for everything that had happened to me as a kid. I hated him for all the friends that I had lost. I hated him for many things. But that day when I got on my knees, something supernatural happened. And I'm never going to explain it, and I don't want to. But when I got on my knees, I started crying and I started remembering every moment of my childhood, every trauma. And then I started, talking about who I hated, who I wanted to hurt, what I had done, just everything, bro. I cried and cried for over an hour. I couldn't even look up. My head was on the floor. And I had I knew about God. I prayed to him when I was getting handcuffed, when I needed money or when I thought they were gonna stab me or something. Like, I prayed to him. I lived with a lot of fear my whole life. My whole life, I had to pretend to be a tough guy, and I wasn't. So I've had fear my whole life. So when I got on my knees, I was able to find who I was supposed to be and not who the world convinced me I needed to be. And my life started changing from that day, bro.
That's fucking crazy. And I understand it, bro. I understand that. You know, everyone's path with God is so different, and I don't talk about mine very often because I don't want to. People just for me, it's like everyone's path is theirs, and so I never want to impose my beliefs on anyone else. But like when I hear you tell that, I believe how powerful it was because it's not the first time I've heard that same kind of experience for a lot of guys who fought it for so many years and decided to walk with God. I think it's cool, bro, because I've seen, like I said, we've talked a long time ago about this talk, and I've been watching you jump on podcast to podcast to podcast, and I'm like, oh man, this dude, he's doing it. You know what I mean? And it's cool to see, bro, and it's cool to see. Like for me, I got that text from you today, and it was kind of like because I texted you the other day. I said, bro, we got to get you on the podcast, right? Just out of nowhere, dog, like out of nowhere, and and then to get your text today, it was a really good timing, bro, because I've been thinking a lot about the Latino community, dog. And when I wrote my book, Borderline, I was attacked by the Latino community, more of like kind of the liberal Latino community, like a lot, bro. And I was tripped out by it because I was like, our community sometimes can eat its own, right? We could attack our own, and I don't want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of the fix. You know what I'm saying? And so when you texted me today, I was very interested in having this conversation. Um, what you texted me today was that you want to focus a lot more on being an advocate for us brown and blacks who are incarcerated. The biggest number of incarcerations is the minorities of us, the blacks and the browns. Latinos and our black brothers and sisters, and you want to become a bigger advocate. And you asked me, for some guidance on that, and I was like, "Fuck, shit, I don't know if I'm the guy, but I'd love to have this conversation." You know what I'm saying? What?
Supplements, so you guys can see. Very excited about taking these. These are going to be keep those for the studio. Either way, we're going to check these out right now. We don't have an official sponsor, but Prime sends us drinks. So while Prime is sending us these drinks, we'll show them some love. Either way. Trineuro, dude, is created by a brain doctor who legitimately is doing a lot of case studies right now. And I'm really excited about this product because if you're a veteran, if you're a law enforcement officer, if you're just someone who has had some potential traumatic brain injuries, if you're someone who's looking to kind of heal the brain, if you're someone who's just looking for something that's more than a nootropic, something that can kind of support brain health, well, then there you have it. And then the new supplement that I have right here, right, this spine one, to me, sounds awesome. I'm someone who's struggled with back issues for a long time. Come on, get off me. Either way, down the hatch. That sounds pretty good. Either way, you guys go check out Trineuro Supplements. You can check them out on Instagram at Trineuro Supplements. TriNeuroSupplements.com. Go check them out. If you guys have any questions, hit me up. A lot of people have been asking me about these. I highly recommend them. I think they're outstanding and an outstanding company who, to be honest, created by a dude who knows the job, knows his job, his brains, and so why not?
What is it that's drawing you to that right now? What is it that kind of pushed you to focus on this or make this your new mission?
So first, let me start off with that. I prayed about this whole situation. That's the reason why I called you. I just felt it was the time for me to reach out to you, and that's the reason why I did it. I pray about everything and like all of it before anything. The reason why I'm stepping in. I want to step into this role is because I've been spending a lot of time in the prisons here in Arizona. Every Thursday I'm at Perryville, the women's prison here in Arizona, and I deal with
Where in Arizona?
It's in Perryville, up north, Goodyear. It's the only one prison
Yep.
here in
Got it.
Arizona. It's only one prison here in Arizona for women. But I deal with the close custody girls and the high max girls, and I teach them a class on personal training. They can become personal trainers. But I call it Jesus with a ski mask because they get to see what God has done in my life, and that's where the real transformation happens. Um,
That's
I
cool.
tell them just like all it takes is one inmate to disrupt the yard. All it takes is one inmate to change the yard. And that's what my girls are doing right now. They're changing that yard. A lot of the girls stop smoking, stop eating bad. They're working out. We got hundreds of letters, man, because me and my wife do it together. Um, Me and her go in there to Perryville, and then I'm doing Lewis prison, the men's prison also. So I'm stepping into all these prisons, right? And then I'm like, man, how many prisons have I been to? And I sat down today and I wrote every single prison I've been to, bro. I've been to 25 prisons, bro, all over Mexico and the United States. So if that doesn't make me an expert, then I don't know what I don't know what does. But I think it was so cool, man, because before we talked and we met, I actually watched you on TV. I started watching the Mayans while I was still inside. And for me to be able to reach out and talk to you was I guess you could say like a dream almost, because people like me, kids like me that grow up in the streets like me, don't really get to meet people that they admire on TV. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's like a kid meeting an athlete. They don't get to do that much from those neighborhoods. So to me, it was a big thing, man. So like I respect you a lot, and that's why like I reached out to you for guidance, for help, because I know a little bit about your story, but I also know that you like to help people. So yeah.
Yeah, bro. So like, here's how I see things, man. Like I this is something I think about often. Like, in the neighborhood I grew up in a pretty good area, but like streets down, it wasn't so good. And then you think about what is it that makes some people change their stars, right? What is it that changes some people's destiny? And for me, it's like if we want to help our community, we have to educate our community to not one be a victim, right? We have a problem sometimes that culturally, parents will tend to give the kids a victim mentality accidentally. They say, hey, the cops are gonna this, or the government's this or this, and that can lead to some individuals genuinely believing that and never believing within themselves to do more.
I'm reading a book right now that has to do with like child psychology, right? And I'm doing it because like all my kids are coming back into my life, and I want to be a better parent. I want to learn. And they had a story where two adults are talking, and the kid comes up to his dad, and the dad says, "Hey, shut up! Don't you see that adults are talking? I'll talk to you right now." Well, I was like, that was me. My parents did that to me. I was like, in the book, it says that what the dad should have done was get to eye level with his kid and tell the guy to hold on because his kid's more important than that guy. And that's how you start to build their self confidence.
Yeah, there's a lot of little things like that that are there's a lot of little things, like so like this. I was very fortunate to have a mother who grew up picking cotton, picking fruit, and believes she can do more with her life. And she chose to move to LA with nothing but like 15 bucks, a change of clothes, and a dream. I was lucky to have that in my life because she always told me, like, if you want something bad enough, go get it. And I was lucky to have a father who lived, he didn't teach me by like voice. He didn't say, hey, son, do this, right? That wasn't my dad's thing. He taught by example. He was the hardest working motherfucker I've ever seen. So those two personalities, I learned if you want something bad enough, go get it. Work your fucking ass
Yeah.
off. You know what I'm saying? And I was never taught race, like racism. It was never spoken in our house. My parents have never. I've never seen a racist version of them ever. And the other side, I've never heard them tell me that there's some figment of their imagination slowing me down.
Yeah.
And it's not like that in everyone's
No.
household. there's households that are victimized, and rightfully so. They probably were, the people were probably racist towards them. They were probably not given the same opportunity. They're probably all those things. But if you raise your kids to believe that same idea, they never step outside of that box, and they're never willing to try and risk it. And I think some of us have to risk, some of us have to chase something that might be impossible, and we have to be the outliers or the disruptors of our generation.
Well,
or if we never break that cycle.
that's why it's so important to break the cycle. And like, and even my kids see the change in me. They're like, my kids are like, wow, Dad, like, even the way that you're speaking now, just everything. And it's crazy because I started changing who I hung around with, and I started changing what I did, and everything started transitioning, everything started moving forward. But I had to stop. That was the number one thing. I had to stop playing the victim, because I blamed
Yeah.
government, I blamed my dad, I blamed my mom, I blamed everybody. But there has to be a point where you realize that you're a grown ass man. Okay, and if you do want to change, then what are you doing? What are you doing to change? You know,
Yeah.
and that's it
Yeah.
really came down to, bro. And honestly, that's where the big role of my wife came in, because she was hard on me. She was like, "You're gonna stop acting like a female already, and start doing what you need to do." And I was like, "I'm gonna kill you." But nah, man, God bless her soul. Like, she stuck it out, and now we have a relationship that we can talk about anything. She's sitting in the background,
Yeah.
making sure
I
I don't
got
say nothing I shouldn't say.
She got the chocolate already, bro. She's gonna get you. Bro, my lady is funny. Like I accomplished something crazy, bro. Like, oh, I wrote a book. She goes, I knew you could. I was like, oh, okay. Like, oh, I landed Mayans. I knew you could. And I'm like, are you ever gonna be surprised? Like, no, I knew. It's funny because I'm like, I guess it's good because she expects me to do good shit. But like, I sometimes want to surprise her and feel like she's proud, but she's always fucking. She expects me to do all kinds of crazy shit. So it's funny, and I'm like, oh, babe, you know what? Someday I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win an Emmy or whatever. She goes, oh, I think you will. I'm like,
Yeah.
she's but that alone is what to me is like special for. She has no doubt that if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it, and that feels good to know I have that support system, because one, I've proven to her when I say something, I do it, but two, it's like she just really believes that I have the kind of heart to do that, and it feels good, dog. It's like I think I needed to have someone in my life that believed in me, or because I think I've always doubted my own self, bro. You know what I mean? And so when my wife came into my life, dog, I'm gonna tell you, within 3 weeks, I got a call from a producer for a TV show. Within 3 weeks, dog, a call from a producer for a TV show for History Channel.
Sure.
And then within 2 months, I landed the Mayans audition. And one of my dogs barking like a fool. But like the crazy thing to me is like all that shit happened when she came into my life, and it was multiple things, like manifestation of like good shit, because like she believed in me and I believed in myself. And I looked and I was like, should we do this? She goes, yeah. I'm like, fuck it, let's do it. And it just like it's continued to like, I guess, give me the confidence to keep pushing forward. It's like, so what I think is like, if you want to be an advocate, and this is the same thing, we have to be that same mentor for our youth. We have to teach our youth, but we have to teach our adults too, our men like me and you, how we have to change the cycle. They have to break it with them. Because what happens, and I try and explain to people, what we do accidentally is we pass our trauma on to our kids. My oldest kids, my 21-year-old and 18-year-old, they probably have PTSD because I had PTSD and I was never treated. I was a drunk, fucking angry, blah, 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 blah. They saw a monster, bro. You know what I mean? And I believe that my oldest probably has PTSD because of me. And I feel bad because I know she has like some temper issues that she's worked. She calls me, she goes, I think I have this because of you. And I'm like, and it's not what I never intended it, dog. You know what I mean? I never intended that. And for us, we have to see change. I'm sober now, coming up on 5 years, bro. And my 14-year-old son, it only took 5 years for him. He don't remember me ever having a beer in my hand. I said, do you remember when I drank? He goes, no. I'm like, damn, that's crazy. It only took 5 years for them to completely wipe their memory of me ever drinking. Now my 21-year-old and my 18-year-old, they fucking remember everything because they used to go get my beers for me, dog. But it only took 5 years to completely change the future of the brains, of the mindset of my younger kids. They will forever not know a house where I drink. It won't even be a thing for them, and they will not carry that over to their own kids.
Yeah,
They'll make a choice if they want to drink or not, but they'll never. I drank because my father drank, and it was what I represented as what a man is.
yeah, yeah.
They drink,
Do you know that that's how
and
long it
so I
takes
was
the
fortunate enough to
brain
break
to
that, and
heal
that's
too?
something that
Five
really.
years? If you've been an alcoholic, that's how long it takes the brain for you to stay sober and the brain to heal. It's 5 years.
I had a dream the other night. I drank. I woke up. I woke up feeling guilty and ashamed. Um, I was embarrassed, dog. I forget emotional because I hate having those dreams because it makes me feel bad, bro. Because I look at my wife and I want to tell her like I'm sorry, man. I fucked up, you know.
Yeah.
And it's just a dream, dog, but it's still emotionally.
It,
I feel the disappointment in the dream, and I wake up like embarrassed, bro.
I think
Like I
that's a
feel like
good
she
thing.
saw me. And
I think that when we get too comfortable and we lose that, I think the guilt is one of the biggest things that's made me change and made me like become a better person. Because back in the day, I didn't have no guilt. I was just telling somebody the story the other day,
Mhm.
like there's a left hand turn that you can't take where I live. And I took it for years. I just would take it, take it. It didn't matter that I had the big sign, not no left hand turns. And one day out of nowhere, I told my wife, you know what? It's been bothering me all day. I'm not going to take that left hand turn no more. And I went all the way around. And my wife was like, man, like, you're really growing up. Yeah.
So, so how do you plan on being an advocate? How do you plan on making the biggest impacts on our youth? Because so we have to change a culture, dog, right? You have to change a culture, and you have to change a culture's mindset. Changing a culture's challenging because you have to make impacts in some of the biggest influencers of that generational kind of like the web of it, right? And so how do
Mhm.
you plan to start with making impacts? I mean, look at you got my support, dog. I'll help you any way I can.
So I put on paper everything that I did, even from learning how to be alone to aligning everything to taking care of your body. It doesn't mean that you have to be a bodybuilder, just taking care of your body, um, discipline, emotional control, forgiveness, all the things that I did to get better. You know, DOC here in Arizona is gonna let me work with the inmates that are coming home. I'm gonna be able to use this program with them. So in 1 year, they'll be able to give me the stats on how it's doing. It's question tool.
I have some
Uh, it's like
good. I have a few things that'll help you
okay.
with that.
It's like a classroom
I have
setting.
a few things.
It's
There's
like a classroom setting. So I would have to give the class, and there would be a lot of people crying and just opening up about stuff. You know what I mean?
good. Bro, I would love to come out there and teach an acting class and hopefully help them reach an emotional state. Because what acting has done for some people, me included, it allows you to use the Rolodex of emotion that, for so many years was told
Yeah.
not to. Don't cry, you'll be a
Especially as a
pussy, blah, 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 blah,
Mexican.
blah. All those right. And Emilio was the one who said it, and I was like, damn, I didn't think about it. Emilio, he went to his first acting class and he said he cried for the first time in his life. And he said, since he was like a grown man, and he said like it made him feel human again. And that was the beginning of his change as an actor from Mayans MC. And when he said that, I was like, damn, I never thought of it because that's the thrill I felt when I started doing acting and learning how to be emotional. And I was like, wow, that's
It's a
crazy. It's like it
superpower,
fucked
bro.
me
It's a
up.
superpower for men. People don't realize that. Ever since I got saved, I cry all the time, man. But it's because I feel so grateful for my life now. Like I shouldn't be here right now, bro. Like I shouldn't. I just did an interview last week with the Flores twins, and I was like, they were cracking up because they remember how crazy I was. They remember like
Really
just how lost I was as a kid.
crazy. Well, look, dog, with your program, I can help you if you ever want to figure out how to self-publish through Amazon. That might be something cool you can do because then you could print out the books and take them to the prison, and then as well as there's an assessment tool I use for my men's group, and I'd love to invite you tomorrow night. We'll have a men's group. You can just sit there and
Okay.
watch it, and we just talk about different things. My men's group, we do an assessment tool, and the assessment tool is something that you can use to collect data. And so what they'll do is they'll fill out the assessment tool online, and you'll get a good reading of where they're at emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and professionally. And then by the end of the program, have them do it again, and we'll have a good, strong reading, and it'll identify the data of how much they've improved through the program.
It's funny you say that because I wrote all that on here. All of it,
Good.
everything from them saying, okay, I'm going to do the program to where you are spiritually, emotionally, how is your eating, just digging in to collect data because that's the way I'm going to be able to help these guys. You know what I mean? I connect with everybody, but I connect with people that are suffering with mental health, PTSD, drug addiction, sexual abuse. Like, uh, I've, I've, I've been there. I've been through it. I've suffered. I know what pain is. I know pain on first name basis. So the thing is that we need to get the men and the women ready to come home, right? But we also need to make sure that the kids don't end up where they're at because it's very, very highly that
Hmm.
they're heading that route. I've been doing a lot of research today, and we have over 2 million people are locked up in the U.S. 2 million. 30% are Hispanic. 37 Black. Um, Once I get something in my head, I'm like, I start leaving notes everywhere, and I start just doing the research. 68% get rearrested within 3 years. 83% end up going back within 9 years.
Yeah. When I worked in the prison, it was crazy. When dudes get out, I'd say, "All right, man, I don't want to see you back." 6 months later, bro, recidivism they
Yep.
call it, right? 6 months later, they come back, and I'm like,
Yeah. And it's all
crazy to
because
see,
of its
bro.
lack of education, bro, and lack of tools and skills. Lack of
Yes.
just learning of skill of telling the truth. That's a skill.
Yeah. And it's easy to fall back into the same routine.
Yes.
It's easy to fall back into that. It's hard to learn
So
something new.
something that I haven't shared with you since we talked the last time is I actually have a couple of investors that are going to help me open up a halfway house. Yeah.
Shit.
So I've been having this dream since I was in prison. These are all from prison, where I was gonna open a halfway house, like a ranch style house with horses, dogs, a greenhouse, and I was gonna let. It was only gonna be for the women. It's gonna be Wonder Woman camp, and it's coming together, dog. It's coming together. I have some people that are backing me up, and it's really coming together. So yeah,
Good, bro. I love it, bro.
just so much, man,
I
so
love it.
much.
Absolutely, bro. Well, dog, please tell the audience where they can find you, where they can support you, bro. I want to support you. If you have anything that I can show up and visit the prison with you, let me know. I'd love to schedule a time
Got it.
for that. I need to get my ass in shape. I finally went back to the gym, so I'm trying to get from wrong to strong myself, dog.
Hey man, I tell people I'm just lucky enough to be at the gym all day, and I enjoy what I do, and I have my my high ticket item clients that that keep me supported and well, and I love what I do, man. It's pretty fun to hang out at the gym all day. But if people want to find me, really wrong to strong, man, I've done really good with the search engine. All you have to do is type in wrong to strong, and all my stuff will come up.
Good, bro. Good, good. Hey, do me a favor, man. We're gonna end this, man. I appreciate you being on with me and telling your story, bro. It's been a long time coming for us to have this. Hopefully, one of these days you're in Dallas, we'll do it again. You come to the house, we'll do it in the inside studio, and we'll do it up. We'll get a good workout in too, so we'll catch the whole thing. Sounds good.